as a utility, because I think AI is a utility like electricity is a utility. But I also think that what's going to happen is it's right now everybody's like learning how to prompt. I think that's not going to be part of what's going to happen. Like electricity, you don't have to run wire in a ground. You just flip on a switch and you enjoy light. And so I think that people are going to build AI appliances more or less, and that is just going to be part of it. I also think that people are going to learn how to use AI as kind of like an advisor, a day-to-day advisor.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Robin Ayoub from the Localization Fireside Chat, and welcome to another episode. Today, in this afternoon, we are recording episode 132 on the Localization Fireside Chat. And today, I have the honor and distinct pleasure to be joined by Victor Varnado. And Victor come to us from New York City, and we catch him right day after Thanksgiving. I was telling Victor he's stuck with us right after Thanksgiving on a Black Friday. Maybe he's escaping the crowd by sheltering on this conversation here.
Definitely. My wife likes to shop, not me. So
Okay, cool.
I'm happy to be here.
I want to welcome you to the channel. Really appreciate it. The audience is looking forward to this conversation as much as I am. And we want to get to know you today. We want to get to know what you're about and how technology plays a role in what you're doing. We'd love to dig deeper a little into that. But to get things started, as we say on this channel, everybody's got a story. Why don't we start with this? Tell us your story.
Well, I guess the easiest way to explain my story is that I started out full-time in entertainment. So I've been on television. I'm a comedian. I've been on Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Kimmel Live. I've been in movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Eddie Murphy. And I've done a lot of producing for TV as well, for different channels, VH1, MTV, et cetera, et cetera. And then I would say about 8 years ago, I really started getting into entrepreneurship. And then when I started getting into entrepreneurship, that combined a lot of the stuff I'd learned in the entertainment world, but plus then also some of my tech roots, because even in high school, I was like programming computers, making video games, and that kind of came back around pretty hard to the point where I actually got a grant from the National Science Foundation for creating accessibility technology. I have created multiple AI apps that are out in the market, and I just spend a lot of time designing, like I would say, business frameworks that I think are really interesting.
Very good. You have a very diverse background. One of the most fascinating bios I had to read was yours in preparation for this episode. So, based on the wild mix of stand-up, film, comics, and now AI products, when you look at your journey, Victor, so far, does it feel like a series of accidents that fell together, or was there like a clear thread all along?
I would say it felt like a series of accidents until 8 or 9 years ago. That's when I decided I wanted to explore entrepreneurship myself. Definitely felt like a series of accidents before then, because I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I started learning, oh, there's a purpose to business, like there's a way to actually grow and build. And I was like, that's when became purposeful.
Absolutely. And when I was getting to know you a little bit, I was doing some research on you. I saw some YouTube videos about you doing stand-up comedy, and I found them very funny. But apparently you've started doing comedy early on. So when did you realize that, from an experience perspective, that comedy becomes actually a superpower in your work? Or did it become a superpower? I'm assuming it was. It was one of your key traits, is being comedian.
I can actually be even more specific. It's not just comedy, but it's communication. So one of the things that I can do really, really well is hone something down to the simplest version so people can understand it. And that is part of making a joke. That's part of, like, I'm a New Yorker cartoonist, and that's part of being a New Yorker cartoonist is like making the very, very simplest version of the message. And that translates into copywriting and selling, and it permeates everything. Just being able to take something and turn it into a very, very simple phrase that everybody gets. I'll give you an example. I have a very simple phrase that I say to people to let everyone know that they can be successful. And here's like the simple phrase. And this is a phrase that everyone gets it, and it cuts right through and makes everybody understand. You can be successful because whatever you're trying to do, someone else is out there doing it worse, and they're a millionaire.
That's right. I love that. You know what? I'm gonna coin that. You just hit it home for me.
But it's like, but it, I mean, it
But you're
took me a
absolutely
while to get,
correct, though. It makes
it took
sense.
me, yeah, it took me a while to get to like that kind of phrase, like to just like, and I heard different versions of something like that, and we all have, but it was just like a way to say it so succinctly. That's, I think that's one of the things that has been helpful to me, like in every aspect of my career.
Absolutely. And you know what? Just it's a matter of perspective, and you sound like you put things in perspective to people by using those statements in a funny way. You're addressing it. Put things in perspective, Mr. Entrepreneur. There are other people out there doing it worse than you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a lot of theory in just marketing in general. Like you have to put things in perspective for people, because if you tell someone something that may seem unbelievable because it's so too good to be true, people will doubt you. Even if you have a product, say, that is too good to be true, like a product that's great. Like here's an example. An AI chatbot, an intelligent AI chatbot. Okay, statistics say that if you put an intelligent AI chatbot on your website, one that's programmed for your business, you will automatically make 20 to 30% more money, and you don't have to do anything else if you do any business through your website. Okay? That is too good to be true for people, unfortunately. But to put it in context for people so that people will accept it, what you have to say is what you're getting is a 24/7 employee that will answer people instantly, which can cause more conversion. And so you put it in context so people can more easily accept it than saying the broader, sensational reality that pushes people away.
Now, I know through your bio, I got the impression, or got the message that you're legally blind. Am I stepping out of line by discussing that with you? How
Not
did
at
how
all.
did that affect you? How did that affect you? I mean, this is fascinating. You're doing all this. Meanwhile, I'm reading that you're legally blind, and you're doing all this stuff that you created from a creativity perspective, from a tech perspective. You're putting all this together, and here you've got audience listening to this conversation right now. Out of the 60,000 audience I have,
Mm-hmm.
fully functioning human being, and they don't even come close to you. How are you keeping it together?
Well, I will say this. You probably don't want to refer to people with disabilities as not fully functioning human beings.
That's not what I meant, though.
I know exactly what you meant. I'm just saying that, like, if you're out there in the world, I'm just
That's
giving
right.
you a little navigating lubrication. Okay, number two. But number two, yeah, it's hard. But the thing is, I think that most people are surprised that I'm legally blind in all my life. And I actually don't even talk about it a lot to people. I didn't talk about people to people a lot until like a couple of years ago, just because it would never really come up, because for me, I know that unfortunately I did not get dealt the same hand as everybody else physically. So that means that no matter what, I have to work harder at some things. Period. And that is the case, and just the way that I look at it is just like I have to work hard enough so that what I'm doing is absolutely undeniable. And so that's just part of how I work. I'm just like, I guess I just have work ethic that's in there, like where I'm just like, I just have to be really, really good.
Absolutely. And you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me when it comes to these types of things, because you're absolutely correct. And the fruit is, they say the evidence is in the results, and here you are, testament to what can be achieved. It doesn't matter what your life is throwing at you, basically. So one of the things, like most of us would go back and look into, as you trace back your life, your career. What are one of the misconception, people often have when they talk to you, when they first meet you, compared to who you really are? We all have those. So what are the misconception in your opinion?
Well, I think that the biggest one is like I have like ton of social anxiety, and I am quite an introvert. Although because I
That's strange,
perform,
though. I mean, you're on stage, you're doing all this stuff. Like, how?
yeah, but because I perform, people think I'm an extrovert. However, you will note that when I am performing, I have prepared. I am in control of the situation.
Yeah.
It's not like performing is very different than like being at a party where you don't know anybody. So like that would drive me crazy. Performing is much easier than that.
So you're an introvert. I never would have pegged you as an introvert person, but here you are. That's a one misconception, I guess, that I wouldn't have thought of you as an introvert. Reading your bio, talking to you right now. So, but it's a comfort zone, isn't it? I mean, whatever people are comfortable with, isn't it?
Absolutely. Like I'm very comfortable with some people doing certain things, but other things, like my wife will tell you, like, a lot of people that she knows think that I am aloof because like I just don't like to talk to new people most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know you told me like you worked with a lot of big names in films and in a variety of production settings. What did you learn from them? Watching them, how they behave or how they act. Did it teach you anything? Did you learn from them?
Absolutely. I feel like anybody who is successful, most people who are successful in film, really successful, are just super determined. And they, I think, look at their work like a business more than I used to in the past. And so I think that I think that up close, people don't understand just like how much hard work that goes into filming and filmmaking in general. I mean, just because if you're outside the industry, you don't necessarily understand.
We
It's
don't
a
peek behind the
crazy
curtain, right?
amount
Is
of
that
work.
what it is?
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of work. Like, and people who are killing it in film are just working very, very hard.
So, which actor or which personality did it impact you the most? Do you have a name?
Impacted me the most, just like throughout my career, just like as a role model, maybe. That's really interesting. Here's something. Okay, so what is his last name? Steven. He directed a movie called Tron, the original Disney movie called Tron.
Okay.
Okay, and so this was a guy who was so far ahead of his time, like in what he was doing in just entertainment, tech, and media. Because that's what I do. I like marry tech and media, and so like this is a guy who did that too. And he was so far ahead of his time. I forget his last name, Steven something, but he was so far ahead of his time that Tron was disqualified from the Academy Awards in the special effects category because the Academy said they cheated by using computers. That's how
Wow.
far ahead of his time he was. They said he cheated and they disqualified him. That's amazing. Like, and so I love marrying tech and media so much, and I think that movie is like I have a poster of it on my wall. Like it's one of those things where I'm just like that is the thing I think about more than anything else. Like,
Because it was ahead of his time, right?
yeah,
It gave that window to creativity to the future.
yes, and it was ahead of its time, but it was also entertainment plus technology together.
A lot of times I hear people say like the technology we're living today or being put in the consumer's hands today has been created in some movie or some film set before, and there was many of them out there. And so the imagination of the film industry or the art industry in general has contributed to creating a lot of the technologies that we're using today. Am I correct by that?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, like the phones have become the tricorders from Star Trek
It's right.
back in the day. I mean, I think there's always. I mean, I think that people who are Imagineers or visionaries are not that different from people who are like storytellers.
Correct. And there's a thin line between a math whiz and an artist. I mean, a lot of people say, "Well, I'm a physicist, but I wanted to become an artist before I became a physicist." So there's a quite the intersection in our human brain between two left side and right side brains, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's lots of crossover.
Yeah, for sure. Now, does this tell me that the conversation that we're having about the movie that impressed you, that drove you to Supreme Robot or to
Sorry.
create Supreme Robot?
Well, I mean, definitely, I love robots. I love robots, and I think they are supreme. So when I named the company a long time ago, I just named it after things that I liked, which were, robots. I'm really just like a 6-year-old boy at heart.
It's all right. So how do you explain that? Like, I mean, what is Supreme Robot? For those who are not familiar or not following you, what would you say about Supreme Robot?
Supreme Robot is a tech and media company. It is a holding company or an R&D company, and what we create are projects which are amazing, wonderful tech and media products that are socially positive.
Okay. So tech and media. company.
Yes.
And is it different from any traditional tech startup, or is it pretty much the same tech startup?
It is very different than I think traditional tech startups, because I feel like in traditional tech startups, they don't have the entertainment roots that I have. For instance, like my clients are like Universal Pictures and Facebook Live and Comedy Central, things like that. And so those have been my clients, as well as the same type of clients that other tech startups might have, because I do a lot of media as well. Like, yes, I've created software, but I've also made game shows and TV shows for people too.
So you're involved in the gaming industry as well, Victor?
Video games,
Video games, that's what I meant, yeah.
not the gambling industry.
No, video
Be
game.
careful.
Yeah, I mean, I used to work for a company that we did, translation for the video gaming, and we called it gaming industry, but yes, video gaming.
Yes, I'm involved in the video gaming industry. I do video game contests for fun, and then I like to create video games as well. And I have an online arcade where people can play video games.
Wow, you're a fascinating man, Victor. I'm learning for the first, 17 minutes of this recording. I've learned so much about you, and the more I peel the onion on our conversation here, the more I'm fascinating. So now we get to something that you've created called Magic Bookfire, or something like this. Bookifier?
That's right, Magic Bookifier.
Yeah, Bookifier.
Yeah,
What is that? What is that?
Magic Bookifier is a series of writing tools that I made to help people write nonfiction books quickly. So I'm a writer, but I also have ADHD. And so I wanted to create a tool that would help me write. I wasn't interested in a tool that wrote for me, but I was interested in a tool that kind of did the job as like kind of a writing assistant. And so that's how I created Magic Bookifier. And in fact, as I created this tool around my needs as like a neurodivergent person, like we're actually taking the tool, the technology, and adapting it for the educational system as well, because of what it is. For instance, here's how it works. It's simple. If you wanted to write a book, what you can do is go use the writing coach, which is in the Magic Bookifier, and you sit down, you say, I want to write a book about this, and then it will interview you like if you hired a ghostwriter, it would interview you, and then by the time it's done interviewing you, you have written a first draft of your book. It just basically guides you through the writing process instead of writing for you.
Wow,
which is useful.
it's amazing, and this really connects with me. To be honest with you, Victor, I was thinking about writing a book. Actually, I've written the outline, and I've written about 25,000 words in it. But I'm still faced with the problem of procrastination. And
this is exactly what this is for, because it'll get it going. And then also the second tool, because of what you just described, the long form writer is a different tool. So the long form writer, you can put in up to 50,000 words of anything, okay? And then you can also put in an outline. And then what the system does is it'll work like a writing assistant. It'll take your outline, it'll go through the material you gave it, take notes, write it in the format, write it in the form that you decided, and then give you a rough draft so that you can then take it from there. It does the same thing. So like if you have 25,000 words in an outline, you can put those in there, and it'll be like, hey, this is what I think a rough draft would look like, and then you could take it from there and polish it.
And Victor, anybody can access this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And would you provide me with, so we can include them in the final publishing here when we do this episode, can you provide me some additional information so I can put them in the...
Not only will I provide you with additional information, I will give you codes so that anybody who's listening to this can have free credits and try it.
Oh my God, I love you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
This is great. Now, you talk also, like I also faced with it. It's called cognitive. I didn't know what I called it, but when I was reading about you, you talked about, and specifically on the Bookifier, is cognitive overload. I experienced it before. I'm trying to write something. I have these many ideas in my head. I want to outline them, but one idea is keeping before the other. I can't keep them straight.
Well, so most people, this is actually, so Magic Bookifier is designed around the correct way to use AI as a creative. And that is, you use it for cognitive discourse, not cognitive offload. So cognitive discourse is what happens with Magic Bookifier. That's where you say what you want to do, and then it asks you questions, which causes you to discourse, obviously. And then it helps you get your structure together. And that's like the part where that's like cognitive discourse is like you're going back and forth and you're thinking, and it's helping you think. And then cognitive offload is what most people think about with AI, where you're just like, I just want to push a button, get a free book, haha, thank you. Like that's
Lazy.
offload. It's a difference between like if you knew Einstein and you could either talk to Einstein or make him do your homework. So
make him do your homework. I love that. Einstein did my homework.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the opportunity, because if you think about it, like when programmed correctly, AI can be so helpful. It can be very helpful with you structuring your idea and turning it into a story, or you can try to make Einstein do your homework, which I don't suggest to anybody.
Absolutely. So what is Bright Right? I think it's within the same dynamics, isn't it?
Yes. Okay. So the writing coach, which we just described,
yes,
which is the one where it asks you questions. So the writing coach, I partnered with a company called, a nonprofit called Rising Tide Educators. And what they do is they focus on helping neurodivergent kids get through college. And so they reviewed my software, and we both agreed that it helps people who are neurodivergent. So we're going to take the writing coach software and recreate it for the educational system, and that's called Bright Right. And we're in the process of working on that right now.
And what was the reaction from what you've observed between the teachers and the students after they start using this?
So we're in the process of making it. So far, what we've done is I've designed what the process is going to be like, and I've had it reviewed by the nonprofit organization. We haven't given it to students yet. That's like
you haven't given it to students yet?
Yeah, but that's part of why I'm partnering with the nonprofit, because they it's run by Dr. Julie Lopacher, and she actually is the person who's helping me prepare it for like working with students, because I need to work with someone who's a professional. You get it?
No, I get it. I understand. One of the things I would like to mention to the audience that Victor is also a fellow podcaster, a host, and he is, I can tell from the professional microphone in front of him. He's used this microphone on many occasions to interview people. So the podcasting and the hosting of the interviews, what did it teach you anything? Did you learn from that? And how did you adapt it to your business? Did it help your business or personally? How did that affect you?
Being a podcaster?
Yeah.
Well, podcasting, I think, is one of those things where it can be extremely lucrative, and it can be also extremely good for driving business to you as well. I would look at podcasts as just entertainment in the past, but now I look at it as also an extension of one's business.
That's right.
Yeah, I learned a lot. But I'm really good at interviewing people. I'm a very good interviewer, just because that used to be my job before. When I worked on so many reality shows, I would interview people all the time, like for tons of reality shows. I'm really good at interviewing people.
So then I have to ask you this question now. We're both podcasters. I'm interviewing you. In this case, you must be feeling odd for this. Say, hey, I've done this all my life. This guy's going to interview me from Canada. How does that feel? And how am I doing so far?
Well, I mean, if you must know, you are.
That's fine. I take criticism. Okay is good, man.
You're okay. I would say that if you wanted to make your interviews way more impactful, I would say that you should challenge your guests more. Not necessarily like start a fight, but I just mean just like make them think so that your audience gets to experience that, like them figuring things out. And it's not about tricking anybody or putting them on the heels, but it's just about like keeping that dynamic part of the conversation. Think about it like at a bar. Like if you're at a bar and you're talking to something, and you're let's say you're single, ready to mingle at a bar, okay? You're at a bar. Your conversation with people, it would be more dynamic. You would definitely play a little bit of tug of war in your conversation to keep it interesting. And that should be part of your interview style as well.
Absolutely. And for all the fellow podcasters out there, this is an advice coming from a professional podcaster, Victor. And we're going to take note of that. I'm going to take note of that. And I'm going to start using the bar style conversation. I really like that. I was more using less than a bar conversation, but now I gotta have to switch, I guess.
I think this is what I describe the best way to interview people is to platonically flirt with everyone.
Platonically flirt with everybody. Man, you're full of sentences today that I want to highlight and underline.
Yeah, it helps you remember.
And italize.
That's the thing I do. I'm like that. That helps me remember. I platonically flirt with everyone. It helps me just like keep it at a certain level.
What you just said right now, all these like beautiful sentences or beautiful statements that you're putting out there, made me think of my next question, which is, you and when you're a cartoonist, so within that, you're thinking within one panel. You're
Yeah,
trying to
absolutely.
condense all your thoughts into one panel, or all
Mm.
you're trying to generate as much emotion as possible from a single panel. That must be like really impressive. How do you do that?
That is, I think it's just a particular art style. It's like being a really good clay sculptor or something like that. Like this particular art style is just like a panel and a line that goes with the panel. The line and the panel usually work alone, but also with each other as well and enhance, the overall. And so it's just like something that you just practice. You just practice and practice until you know, till they write you a check from the New Yorker.
Is there like right now like some sort of a market research on that stuff? Do you get any feedback? Do you adjust based on the feedback? How does that work?
I have never adjusted based on the feedback so far, but you do get a lot of feedback. I had one cartoon that kind of went viral, a New Yorker cartoon, and then people comment on the cartoon and give you plenty of feedback,
They do
thousands
give you
and
plenty of
thousands of
feedback.
people.
Now I know we got to peek behind the curtain a little bit. I know you did work for major brands like Marvel, Vice, more mainstream media. So how do you work with them? Like, what is the engagement, and how does that work in a normal way of writing? Do they give you a subject you have to write on? Do you have a freedom to write? Do you have like boundaries, guardrails?
It's very different. Every deal is like different. Like just depends on what the deal is. Like when I wrote with Marvel, they let me pitch anything I wanted to them as long as it was funny because they wanted me. It was like supposed to be for a funny issue. When I work with like say the New Yorker, I have to pitch very specific things. When I work with Vice, I pitched a particular type of story to them that they wanted as well. So it just depends like on whatever the deal is. It's just like they'll sometimes have constraints and sometimes people will say, hey, for instance, like when I worked with Penguin Random House, they were like, we want you to make a game show, and this is what the game show subject matter is about. But other than that, they had no other plan. But they kind of gave me like the basics, and then I went from there.
Absolutely. Now, for somebody like let's say you're in a bar and young cartoonists come to you and says, "Listen, I don't want to be poor, but I want to stay creative." What would you tell them?
I would say, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you one business thing that you should know about, and this is what it is. It is your gross margin. You want to make sure that whenever you're getting paid for your work, that it's paying you more than it cost you to make it, and you have a decent gross margin. That just means that if you're going to sell a painting that took you a month to make, how much does it cost you to live a month, and then double that at the very least.
That's right. Learn to make money.
Yes, yeah, really. Like learn to make money, and just the main thing is make it a business. You make something for less, sell it for more. Always do that over and over again.
Absolutely. And what did they say? Don't buy high and sell low, right?
Right, I suppose. I'm not really good at that part.
Not either. That's why I don't make money with stock, so I try to avoid that. Uh, Now let's move a little bit to the AI conversation. We talk a lot about AI on this channel, Victor,
Yes.
and we talk a lot about AI and the integration of AI in our daily lives. As where do we integrate a human? Where does a human play a role? Where they don't, etc. In fact, last November, I did three workshops in Saudi Arabia at the King Fahd University students, and the topic was a human in the loop. And this is where we talked about where do we integrate a human at what point, at what intersection of the process, whatever the process that you're working with. In your case, writing, or in other case, maybe translating, in another case, maybe marketing processes, etc. And the idea is, do you involve the human across the entire process or parts of the process? That takes analysis, that takes a little bit of a know-how. From your vantage point right now, AI, specifically as it relates to you, how is it helping or not helping the writers, students today? And or is it mostly distraction in some cases?
I think that, well, all of what you said are true. Like obviously in some cases it's a distraction, and in some cases it can be very helpful. I don't think there's a lot of institutions that are using AI in a positive way with their students yet. I think that a lot of institutions, and I know this for a fact, a lot of institutions are trying to like basically ban AI in the educational system. I know because I'm actually brought in on an AI panel that I have to speak on in about a week to an educational uh, like group. It's in Minnesota, but I have to speak to them like their board, like as an AI panelist about that very specific subject. Is like their teachers are like, let's ban AI, and I'm like, that's not possible. So
The genie's out of the bottle, right, Victor? Everybody's got access to it.
yeah, everybody everybody does have access to it. Everything that I create is human in the loop. Like the what I described was like working back and forth with AI, not letting AI just do all the work for you, but AI helping you do the work. I think that I think that some people think about AI the wrong way, like we were talking about, like cognitive offload versus cognitive discourse. When people think about AI, like they think that their effort should go down if they're using AI, and I think that that's not the case. I think that your effort should stay the same, but your results should be supercharged with AI.
100%. And we talk about AI, and I keep saying this on every episode almost. AI is an evolving technology. In the past, because we're still in the generation where we're actually downloading software and waiting for the next release in 6 months or a year to download the next release. You download a Windows 10, you wait for the Windows 11, and et cetera, et cetera. Now with this technology, with the artificial intelligence technology, the technology is learning, is adapting, is behaving differently on a day-to-day basis, and it's getting better on a day-to-day basis. So, and we're still at a phase right now where we're still developing trust between a human and technology, right? So a lot of people, they see output coming out of technology, out of AI, say, do I believe this? Is this true? And so I'm just thinking, because you mentioned earlier, like the school boards, etc. I'm thinking like the kids that they're going to school, let's say today, and they're into kindergarten, 20 years from now, when they graduate from universities, the world's going to be, or technology is going to be a completely different technology. I was listening to the CEO of NVIDIA the other day. I mean, quantum computing, we're a stone's throw away from that. And once we get to that, I mean, the evolution is going to be warp speed. How do you see the future, Victor, from AI technology perspective?
I actually think the future is going to be people learning how to use AI as a utility, because I think AI is a utility like electricity is a utility. But I also think that what's going to happen is it's right now everybody's like learning how to prompt, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's not going to be part of what's going to happen. It like electricity, you don't have to run wire in a ground. You just flip on a switch and you enjoy light. And so I think that people are going to build AI appliances more or less, and that is just going to be part of it. I also think that people are going to learn how to use AI as kind of like an advisor, a day-to-day advisor. Something actually happened recently which I thought was amazing. So when I first discovered AI, I was not a fan of it because I was a New Yorker cartoonist, and you can imagine why I was like, no thank you. And then my wife also was not a fan of AI. She is works in fashion, and she has a retail store. But I learned a lot about AI, and then I started teaching her about AI. Recently, she had an experience where only AI could have helped her, and it did. And it was only possible because of AI. Here's what happened. Her store recently was robbed, which is terrible. Um, but when the police came, first of all, AI helped her fill out the police report. Now, just think about that. If you have, I did a thumbs up on the thing because I was talking. Think about that. Like if you're dealing and you need advice on filling out a police report, not something that everybody has done, like either you have to get a really good lawyer to help you fill out a police report, but this is something that like where AI filled the gap. But not only that, then she with AI was able to solve the crime because she was like, this is what I know, this is who I think might have done it, blah 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 blah. And then AI helped her figure out and solve the crime. So only so like there's no way that just a regular person would have, that type of deduction at their disposal without AI. And it just helped her solve, it helped my wife solve a crime that, the police aren't going to dig as deep as AI did. I think it's just one of those things where, like, I think people are going to learn to use it in their everyday lives to just make just a general existence better.
Do you think at a society or as a society or as a humanity, are we still at a baby steps with AI, or are we a little bit mature now?
Oh, we're incredible baby steps. Incredible
I kind
baby
of figure
steps.
that, yeah.
There's so we're at a point right now where um think about modular systems, okay? Everything can be broken down into a modular system, any type of function. So one of the things that I worked on was like uh taking high high value professional level or professional level administrative functions and turning them into AI apps. For instance, like a ghostwriter, turning that into an app, because that is an administrative action that you would have to pay for normally, but in an expert level administrative task. Okay, so you can take any expert level administrative task, anything, break it down into little modular systems that are AI systems, and then connect those systems, and they can hand off to one another. So theoretically, you can build anything. It could be a robot that does something in particular. It can recognize images and then decipher those images in such a way and take it in action, as long as you know how to program it well. So we're like in real baby steps, because you could build a machine that could do practically anything right now, and we haven't even scratched the surface.
100%. Do you think about the ethical part of using AI? Have you ever gave it any consideration? What would that like be? Just addressing the ethical question.
Yes, I've given it a lot of consideration. Am heavy into philosophy, so it is very frightening thinking about a lot of things that people are doing. However, I don't think it's different than what people are doing to each other, which is unfortunate. I mean, I I think that AI, and it can be used for good or for bad, and people can do horrible things or wonderful things with it, just like anything else. I mean, I know how I use AI and how I make sure that I am comfortable with how I work with AI. But unfortunately, I can't control or police the entire world.
No, that's right. I mean, but we all have and we always talk about ethical way of using because there's like anything else in the world that everything is meant for good unless we turn it to something that is not good. Like anything, you can take a toaster and turn it into something no good, not just AI. So that's why I'm asking the question now. From what I've seen, like the tools, the apps you created, the tech that you're creating, you seem to have a mixture of audience or users, I would call, globally. Have you thought about localizing how does the non-English speaking part of the world deals with your technology, and is there a room for other languages on your podcast on your
Absolutely. So with Magic Bookifier, it writes mostly in English because the AI that we're using was trained in English. However, we have a lot of people all over the world using it, and we added in that the system can translate to, I think, 13 languages so far. Um, it can translate to 13 languages so far. Also, localization, also because I work with people with disabilities all the time. That's also one of the things that I am always thinking about. But that's what my original grant that I got from the National Science Foundation was about, creating accessibility software. Because even when people are thinking about localization, I don't think that, I mean, being accessible is actually kind of part of that, which isn't brought up enough, I think. But yeah, so with Magic Bookifier, it is built so that it can export in other languages. As we continue to evolve it, it'll just be able to write in any language, because it's built modularly, like I was talking about before, so that once we put on the ability to translate to other languages at the beginning, it can write through that entire pipeline. But we just have to find the right AI to do that, because the one we're using right now is not the correct one.
And so, give us a bit of an idea about your company. How big is it? How many employees? How many
It's
customers?
pretty it's pretty small. I have like 2 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees.
Okay,
It's pretty
and
small.
they're all located in New York, or you tend to do development outside of the U.S.
We have 2 people in New York, 1 person in Connecticut. We have one person who is also in, I believe, New York, but then we also have we also have a lot of people that we pick up from around the world. Like one of our UI designers is in France. I can't remember our entire roster of everybody because we grow and shrink depending on projects, of course.
Yeah.
But we do hire people all over.
Yeah, you're project based like most of the startup companies, and you need people. You hire them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't just keep them on the payroll just for the hell of it, right? So you're gonna keep them productive. Just on the for those who are listening who are in a neurodivergent creators, and so let's say they have like a ton of projects that they're not finished, and they're not feeling good about it. What do you say to them?
I myself have a ton of projects, and not all of them are finished, but I prioritize and I also put projects in a place where I can put them in stasis. I don't know if everybody's going to function the way I function. I have projects where for instance, I was talking to you about that, the video game project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the video game project, the basis of the project is it's a website. And when people play and they win the high score, they win $5. But when I don't have work for that project, it can stay dormant and it doesn't really cost me anything except for the server fees. So I build projects so that they can do that, so they can start or stop easily. But I don't know if that's how other people operate, but that's something that's only me, I guess. We'll see.
Now, we're coming up to an end here. So just want to ask you, because watching you on YouTube doing, and stuff. So I wanted to ask if you can entertain the audience with maybe a joke that nobody has heard, or nobody has heard. I'm sure other people have heard, but not really, public, I would say. Maybe entertain the audience with a joke or two here.
I can tell you one of my favorite street jokes. I think it actually came from Buddy Hackett, but it's not disgusting. Don't worry. Okay, so
no worries.
One of my favorite. I love a good street joke. Okay, so this old man goes into a confession, and he's like, he goes into the confession. He's like, Father, I spent the evening with two young women. Oh, we were together all night. It was crazy, but I can't even tell you. Oh, this is the best time in my life, but all the things we did, Father, it was crazy. And the father's like, okay, I understand. Well, what I want you to do is I want you to do 200 Hail Marys. And he goes, what are you talking about? Well, I mean, he wants you to repent. He goes, what are you talking about? But I'm not Catholic. He's like, but then what are you doing here? Why are you telling me this? And he goes, hey, I'm telling everybody.
That's a good one. Thank you, Victor. That's a very good one. Thanks so much. And on that note, on that laugh, I really want to thank you, Victor, for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And I know it's a day after Thanksgiving, but thanks for spending some time with me today to record this episode. I really appreciate it.
Any last comment? I had a good time. Thank you for letting me tell my favorite street joke.
I love that. Are you kidding me? That's the highlight of my year. And we're coming up to the end of 2026. That's it. 2025. That's it, man.
I can't wait for that.
Thank you so much again.
Awesome. No problem. Cool. Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for the audience, thank you so much for listening in for this episode. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe and comment and share this content that I produce for you. It's a one-man show here. I don't have like a big army. I'm like Victor, me, myself, and I. We produce these things. I record them during the week. I edit them on the weekend, and I publish them for you early in the week. So I really appreciate your support. And if you have any comments, suggestions, please keep them coming. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next episode. Thanks so much.